let's start with the palette. Okay, Am, this is for you. Tino and I are discussing the the pages after the home page and logo. So go ahead. Repeat, please, what you were saying.
So we need to start with a logo. The logo is going to be something small that doesn't really need a lot of detail, but it'll have 3 or 4 key colors. Based on the art that you've used, I like the idea of a sun behind a heart, a star or stars behind a heart, and then that gives us something to go with. The logo will also give us that color combination that we need. This is called a palette. The color palette will tell us what we want to do with your web pages, not only in the art that Will makes, but in the color theme that each one will have to kind of tie into. That really gives you the cohesiveness for your web pages. Autumn asked for this too, and it's something that we brushed on lightly with Lorraine at that time, but going forward, having these things will really help your page come together very professionally.
Okay, so we mentioned the logo, and Am, if you can see this, this was the Moody Blues cover we were talking about. How do we bring the logo into these pages? Do this go in the upper right-hand corner or left-hand or something? Or do we create the logo, but it doesn't go on each page? What do you say?
It could be on your header page, but above your header page, you also have something that ties each of your tabs in browser. You could be on a Mac, you could be on Chrome, you could be on Internet Explorer. There are tab headers that give you that logo. It's also something I tell it where to put it on each page, or keep it purely on your home page. But going forward, it's also your letterhead. It's your brand image. It's basically your face going forward in business.
So that's kind of it relates to this color palette that you're speaking of.
It does. Ideally, it connects to the color palette that you use on that page. If you were to pick, for instance, a green star and an orange sun, I mean, those are color palettes that you can't really get into. They become a little messy. You also don't want to go towards things that are too dark. Dark blues work, but you don't want to get into your blacks and dark grays.
Well, that's like what we had with that image with Will with the dark blue.
So that works. There was an instance that you pulled it up that there was a negative background. There's a black background that really sets it too far off. Whereas with a blue background that pulls it really nicely.
So in the contrast, the letters be lighter colored in this. Like,
you can make it work with the red if you were really stuck on it. There is a particular color that stays in the blues ends, but it also gives you a purple in there. So
think of what that is. That's just deep blue. The white is everything brightens up when the Milky Way or whatever, you know.
Oh, I see it. And I really like this image because that heart and that sun might be it. We just might be able to find a way to simplify it,
right.
To where it has some depth, but not too many of the yellows and oranges that are in there.
Okay, then let's distill this, and so we can have time next week to talk. The 2 things you were pointing out, it's Slack, slack.com.
Which I'll find some more data on. I've run one of these before. It's called an IRC client,
RC, okay.
Internet Relay Chat, and it's been the industry standard for a lot of time. But this gives you so much control to interact with your audience on the fly. If Am has the podium at the moment and he's making a point and you will buy your structure, he's going to have 10 minutes. That gives you 10 minutes to interact with questions that are coming up. That are questions.
Like a Twitter account, you can see the questions.
Twitter is even time. I mean, someone submits or enters a tweet, and then you have time to respond to it. In this case, it's like chat room. People are talking amongst themselves, they're having conversations, and occasionally they'll target you and say, Dean, we have a question with this. Here's the question. If Am is on a subject, and you have that freedom to go in there and answer it.
Would I be capable of then directing the conversation by way of...
You definitely, the moderator, which your title would totally be, you can separate different rooms. You can create different rooms within this client and say, this one's for the topic at hand, which day is, whatever you want to title it. Secondly, if you guys want to talk about general health, there's your own chat room for that. If you want to have a not PG-rated conversation, but you want to keep it amongst the community, here's the room for that. You can really designate these rooms for whatever you need.
This is an advancement of what we used to call back in the early 90s and late 80s was what we called a distant learning program. And we have big television,
like
and
a fast chat room.
old-fashioned chat room. Okay, got it. Also, there's the Patreon.com, and then there's the the web. So the web chat, can that work as a separate? So you'll look into that and get back more on what you learned from it. Then we
Right.
can.
Right. I have a membership that I'm trying for our pants team. And I'm trying to utilize it live when they're doing their show. So they do their show, their business hours, and it's hard for me to sit still. So I'm going to try to get that done here very soon.
Okay.
And once I get not only my membership going, and then I'm actually a live user of it. Scott has already agreed to give us a tutorial of how he runs the show. He has to do his on Mac.
Great. That's great.
And yeah, he's more than willing to show. The guy's been doing this for 10 years, and it funds everything he needs. He has contributors that come on daily that are all scheduled, and they're all paid based on just what Patreon does for him.
Okay, and then that Patreon is the last piece, and that AM is briefly it's a business model where its donations are given to your particular project. You're paid out of that. The more that people want different projects, they contribute more to it. It's all based on, what is it, 90% you were saying, Tino?
Yeah, and it's voluntary. It really is voluntary inclusion, and then you put rewards out there. It's bait. It's a perfect chance for you to say, look, we can really put, and please don't use this as a structure. This is just an example. We want to do 2 shows every week, but we could also promise to the Slack and to the community that if you're a Patreon contributor, that we will also make another show that if we get so much of a contribution, if we get up to the $4,000 mark or whatever you feel the monetary value is, then guess what? We're going to start including a 3rd show every week. But it's up to you to determine that by your contributions through Patreon.
Okay, now the comparison, Am, is there's the InfoWars put out by Alex Jones, where he has a membership that's $14.95 a month, and they get to see access to a TV show that's not the radio show. So we'll have free stuff, as we discussed. That's going to be part to the public, and then the other stuff will be a paid membership. So we can talk more later about this, but this is a new, innovative way of being able to basically get a jump start. And we'll talk more about this, how it weaves into the LLC. But anyway, that was all we needed. We just needed to get you this. So when we talk to you on Monday, where you get it to us Monday, you're going to draw up what it looks like. Tino's going to be putting together the front page with Will. He's going to speak to him. We're going to get some of these different backgrounds with the idea of someone putting together the logo. So we've got a lot to talk about, but we'll focus on next week. Is Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday best for you? Thursday, Friday are better for Am. For you, is that okay?
Try to fit it. You tell me when, and I'll try to make it work.
Okay, and we'll sign off with Am now. I'll just click the button, and then we'll finish up.